The next most important soil of our country is the red and the yellow soil. Okay, the red and the yellow soil mainly develops in the areas of crystalline igneous rock as well as where the amount of rainfall is less. Okay, in those areas, the red and the yellow soil develops actually. So the areas where the crystalline igneous rocks are present, plus amount of rainfall is very much less. Okay, so in those areas, the crystalline igneous rocks are mainly found actually. So the areas where this crystalline, red and the yellow soils are mainly found is the eastern and the southern part of the Deccan Plateau. Okay. The red and the yellow soil is not so much distributed. Okay, it is not so much widely distributed in our country. They are confined to certain areas of our country. Okay, see. The red swell they develops on the crystalline igneous rocks in areas of low rainfall in the eastern and the southern parts of the Deccan Plateau. So basically, the red swell they develop in the crystalline igneous rock, the areas where the crystalline igneous rocks are available and where the amount of rainfall is very much less. In those areas, the red and the yellow soil is mainly found. Okay. To be more specific, they are mainly found in the eastern and the southern part of the Deccan Plateau region. Now the question is, why do the soil they appear red in color or why do they appear yellow in color? See, these soils they develop a reddish color due to the diffusion of iron in the crystalline and the metamorphic rocks, and it looks yellow when it occurs in a hydrated form. So basically, the red and the yellow soil they develop a reddish color. Okay, because they are mainly found in the areas of igneous rock. So in the areas of igneous rock, okay, the like composition of iron content. Okay, iron, the mineral iron content is much higher in these areas, in this igneous and the metamorphic rock. Okay, so the iron content in the igneous and the metamorphic rock, when it gets diffused, okay, to the soil, the soil appears to be reddish in color. But the same red and the yellow soil, when it occurs in a hydrated form, means when it is wet, okay, means the moisture is much higher actually. At that time, it turns out to be yellow in color. Okay, at that time, it turns out to be yellowish in color. That means uh, it uh, it is the soil turns out to be yellow actually, yellowish. Okay. The yellow and the red soils are also found in parts of Odisha, Chhattisgarh, southern parts of the Middle Ganga Plain, and along the Piedmont zone of the Western Ghats. So basically, the red and the yellow soil are mainly found. Okay, in the some parts of Odisha, some parts of Chhattisgarh. Okay, in the Middle Ganga Plain and along the Western Ghats. Okay, these are the areas where the red and the yellow soil is mainly found actually. Okay, so the most important characteristics of this red and the yellow soil is that they develop in the areas where igneous and the metamorphic rocks are present. They appear reddish in color. Okay, because the iron content in the igneous rock get diffused and it makes the soil reddish in color. But the same soil, when they are in hydrated form, means when the moisture content is higher, they appear to be yellowish in color. Okay, and where this red and the yellow soil are mainly found, they are mainly found in some areas of Odisha, some part of Chhattisgarh, okay, and in the Western Ghat region. So these are the distribution and the characteristics of the red and the yellow soil. Okay, so this is the map. In this map, you can see the index is provided. Even in an NCERT book, this map is there, and through this map, you can easily identify the areas where the black soil, alluvial soil, red and the yellow soils are mainly found. So here you can see like the red and the yellow soil is found in these areas actually. Okay, the like pink, okay, like the pink color shade which is provided actually. So these are the areas where the red and the yellow soil is mainly found. Okay, even the red and the yellow soil is found in this eastern part of our country, northeastern part of our country. The next is the laterite soil. Laterite soil is the another important soil found in our country, and the term laterite. Okay, the term laterite it has been derived from the word later, which means brick actually. Okay, so basically laterite soil are the soils, okay, which develop under the tropical and the subtropical climate with alternate wet and the dry season. So the laterite soil basically develops in those areas where the tropical and the subtropical climates are there. Okay, in the areas of tropical and the subtropical climatic conditions, the laterite soils are mainly found where the alternate wet and the dry season is there. That means the rainy season and the summer season. Okay, means alternate wet, dry and the wet season is there. which favors the development of this laterite soil. And these laterite soils are actually the result of intense leaching. Okay, the laterite soil is actually the outcome, or it is the result of intense leaching activity which takes place because of heavy rain. Okay, means when the heavy rainfall takes place, what happens? The mineral contained or the mineral composition of the soil gets washed away. Okay, the minerals which are available in the layer of the soil, in the surface of the soil, actually they get washed away just because of the heavy rainfall. Okay, so the minerals gets washed away and the soil is left behind actually. Okay, so this is the reason that this is also the reason that the laterite soil is not so much fertile actually. Okay, it is not so much fertile and it is not so much like used for agricultural practice actually. Lateritic soils are mostly deep to very deep in nature. So basically the laterite soils are mostly deep to very deep. Okay, and they are acidic in nature. Okay, that means the acidic alkalinity and the acidic label is very much higher actually, and generally deficient in plant nutrients. So basically the nutrients which are required for the growth of the plants is not available in the laterite soil, and it makes the laterite soil unsuitable for the growth of vegetation, unsuitable for the growth of different plants. And okay, but in certain areas, the laterite soil can be used for growing the trees, for growing some types of trees and all. Okay, for basically for tea and coffee cultivation. Okay, after using the proper techniques and all. See, after adopting appropriate soil conservation techniques, particularly in the hilly areas of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, this soil is very useful for growing tea and coffee. So in certain areas where this laterite soils are mainly found actually, okay, after adopting some soil conservation techniques, after following some scientific methods and all, okay, the laterite soil can be used for growing tea and coffee. And this has happened in the states of Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu actually, where the laterite soil is now utilized for growing tea and coffee to some extent. Even the red soils in Tamil Nadu, the red laterite soil, okay, even the red laterite soil in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala are more suitable for crops like the cashew nuts. Okay, so basically the laterite soil, which in the state of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Kerala, is mainly used for growing the cashew nut trees as well. Okay, and we know that these are the states where the cashew nut cultivation is very much higher actually. Okay, most of the cashew nut cultivation is done in this part of our country. So this is what about the laterite soil. Okay, and they are mainly found, the laterite soil, they mostly occur in the southern states along the western Ghat regions of Maharashtra, Orissa, some parts of West Bengal, and the northeast region. So basically the laterite soil is mainly found in the southern state, in the western Ghat region of Maharashtra, some parts of Odisha and West Bengal, and also in the northeastern region. Actually, these laterite soils are mainly found. Okay, again, you can see here in the map. Okay, the laterite soil basically it is found in this part. Actually, in the state of Meghalaya, in this part. Okay, in this part, some parts of Odisha and West Bengal, and some parts of Maharashtra here. Okay, the laterite soil, and this part actually in this side, western coastal belt, this side the laterite soil is mainly found. Okay, so it is not so much widely spread like the red and the yellow soil. Actually, they are confined to certain areas only. The next is the arid soil. Arid soil is the another important soil which is found in our country, and they are mainly found in those areas where the amount of rainfall is very much less, and the climatic condition of that particular area is very much dry actually. So basically, the arid soils are mainly confined to the Indian desert. Okay, we can find it in the Indian desert region only. Okay, the arid soil, they range from red to brown in color. The arid soil, they basically range from red to brown in color, and they are generally sandy in texture and saline in nature. So basically, the arid soil, okay, they are sandy in texture. They appears to be sandy, like in case of the alluvial soil, black soil, and what like composition of the sand, mud is there. But in case of the arid soil, the sand it is mainly made up of sand deposits. Okay, the composition of the sand is higher actually, and they are saline in nature. They are saline in nature means the amount of salt content in the soil is very much higher. which makes the soil unsuitable for cultivation. Okay. Even in some areas, the salt content is very high and common salt is obtained by evaporating the water. And even in some areas, actually, okay, common salt can be obtained from this arid soil belt. Okay, means by evaporating the water, actually, common salt is obtained from this arid soil belt. Due to dry climatic conditions, okay, due to dry climate, high temperature, evaporation is faster and the soil lacks humus and the moisture. Okay, so due to the dry climatic condition and high temperature, the rate of evaporation is much faster in this belt, actually in these areas of arid soil, and the soil they lacks humus and the moisture. Okay, means the humus which is required for making the soil fertile, okay, that is absent in the arid soil belt. Okay, and on the other hand, because of high rate of evaporation, what means whatever is the amount of moisture available, actually it gets evaporated. Okay, and it makes the soil very much dry in nature. Okay, so this is why the entire desert region, okay, in the entire desert region, that is including Rajasthan, even in some parts of Punjab, Haryana, some parts of Uttar Pradesh also, we can find this kind of arid soil. The lower horizons of the soil are occupied by conker because of the increasing calcium content downwards. So the lower horizons of the soil, they are occupied by conker, okay, because of the increasing calcium content. So in these areas of arid soil, okay, like in the lower layer of the arid soil, actually the calcium content is very much higher. So this calcium content, okay, it leads to the formation of the conker noodles, conker-like formation. It means when the calcium, okay, they get uh, the calcium content, actually they, okay, they get converted into like come in contact with the water or the moisture, actually they turn out to be the small pebbles like structure, okay, which are known as the conker actually. So this kind of conker formation is more in the areas of arid soil belt. The conker layer formation in the bottom horizons restrict the infiltration of water, and just because of this conker layer formation in the lower layer of the arid soil, okay, the infiltration of the water cannot take place. That means the water they cannot percolate in the underground, okay, and the soil gets evaporated from the topmost part on. Okay. After proper irrigation, these soils become cultivable, as has been in the case of Western Rajasthan. But in some parts of Rajasthan, actually, this arid soil has been utilized, or it is now utilized for growing the crops and all. Okay, because of proper irrigation facilities. Okay, in basically in the western part of Rajasthan, the Indira Gandhi Canal they supplies water. Okay, and this water which is being supplied by the Indira Gandhi Canal, it has helped in the growing of some types of crops in the western part of Rajasthan, like jowar, bajra, ragi, and all. Okay, these types of crops can be grown in this arid region. Okay, because that does not require high amount of water. Okay, and they can be grown with very less amount of water. Okay, so some areas, some part of this arid soil belt is also used for cultivation nowadays, actually, and which is very positive aspect actually. Okay, and the next one, and the next and the last one is the forest soil actually. Okay, the forest soil are also known as the mountain soils. The name is given forest soil, but they are mainly found in the areas of mountainous region. Okay, they are found in the mountainous regions. These soils are mainly found in the hilly and the mountainous areas where sufficient rainforests are available. So basically, the forest soils are mainly found in the hilly region and in the mountainous areas. Okay, where sufficient rainforests are available. Actually, it means when the rainforest are available. Rainforest basically grows in those areas where the amount of rainfall is more than 400 centimeters. Okay. The soil texture varies according to the mountain environment where they are found. So basically the texture of the soil, okay, the grains of the soil, it varies from one part of the mountain to the another part. Okay, because in the low-lying areas, okay, in the low-lying hilly areas, the soil is having some amount of alluvium deposits, where in the valleys of the hill region, the farmers can grow the crops. But in the higher altitudinal areas, in the higher hilly regions and the mountainous areas, okay, the soil is very coarse in nature, and the layer of the soil is also very thin, which does not favor the growth of trees and all. Okay, so they are loomy and silty in the valley sides and coarse grained in the upper slopes. So basically in the valleys, okay, in the low lying valleys and all, the forest soil is basically loomy and silty in nature. Okay, means the soil is not so much tight actually. Okay, it is loomy in nature, and silt deposits, small stones can be found here. But as we move to the higher altitudinal areas, as we move to the higher reaches, the soil turns out to be very coarse in nature, and it becomes unsuitable actually, okay, for growing of crops and all. The swells found in the lower parts of the valleys, particularly in the river terraces and the alluvial fans, are the fertile soil. So the forest swell, which are mainly found in the lower parts of the valleys, okay, in the river valleys and all, there the soil is fertile in nature and some crop cultivation can be done. So you can see if you go to the hilly regions and all, in the low-lying hilly region, you can find that the farmers, they are growing the crops, okay, in the valleys and all, in the step of terrace farming and all. Okay, so basically in these areas, the forest soil is fertile to grow the crops. But if you go to the higher altitudinal areas, the soil turns out to be very loomy, like very silty in nature, coarse grain, which does not support the growth of plants and the crops. So this is the map where you can see the areas where the forest and the mountain soils are available. Okay, so basically you can see only the mountainous areas like the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, some parts of Darjeeling, and some parts of Arunachal Pradesh. Actually, these are the areas where the forest soil is mainly found. Okay, the forest soils are also known as the mountainous soil, and the arid soil can be mainly found in this region in the northwestern part of our country. Okay, western part of our country, that is in Rajasthan, some parts of Gujarat, okay, and some parts of this Uttar Pradesh and all, we can find the arid soil. Okay. So this map is very much important for the map pointing, because you may be getting you will be getting map pointing questions. Okay, areas of black soil, areas of alluvial soil and all. One more thing I want to show here, that along the eastern coastal plain, you can see that the presence of alluvial soil is there. Okay, alluvial soil can be found to some extent in this eastern coastal plain along the Bay of Bengal. So you may be getting a map pointing that the areas of alluvial soil belt in the eastern coastal plain. So in that case, you have to mark this eastern coastal plain, the alluvial soil belt. Okay. So this is what about the types of the soil and its characteristics. Okay. So in our country, we can find different types of soils. Okay, as we move from one region to another, and we find different types of soils in our country just because of different types of physiographic divisions. As because in our country we are having different types of physiographic divisions, and in this different physiographic division, different types of rocks are available. Okay, climatic condition also varies, the type of the vegetation also varies from one region to another. So just because of these three factors, okay, like a difference in the relief features, difference in the parent rock, and because of this difference in the vegetation cover, the different types of soils has been formed in different parts of our country. And this is the reason that in different parts of the country, different types of crops are being cultivated. Okay, the farmers, they grow different types of crops. Like if you see the northern plains, the northern plain is mainly used for growing rice, wheat, vegetables and all. Okay, then coffee cultivation is mainly down in the southern part of the country where the black soil is available. Again, cotton cultivation is mainly down in the Deccan Plateau region where the black soil is available. Okay, we can find the arid soil, that is the dry soil, in the western part of our country, that is in Rajasthan. Laterite soil can be found in some parts of Odisha and West Bengal where the cashew nut trees can easily grow at. Okay, so this is what about the different types of soils available in our country, their characteristics and their distribution. So it is very much important for you all to read the characteristics of this soil, and also to know about the distribution of this soils.